Hello, my name is Georges Verbena, and this is an Aries April 20 new moon forecast. At the end of this video you will know what is this new moon about, what kind of challenges are you gonna have, what kind of difficulties with your work, your career, your finances, your relationships, and what can you do to prepare yourself for this new moon, and what do you do afterwards? Because this new moon is a solar eclipse and it will have strong effects for the next 6 months. Because it's in Aries, it will obviously be a new moon about new beginnings, new projects, something that you have to change up, where you have to express yourself, assert your authenticity somehow. It's about confrontation, and it's the second new moon in the same sign in Aries that we have in a month. So this is quite rare, but it doesn't happen never. I mean, sometimes it happens. But what are the aspects that you see here? You can see that, like always, it's a moon conjunction sun, because that is what a new moon is. So like in every new moon, it means that the sun and the moon are aligned. And when they are aligned, they are illuminating each other. However, in a new moon, you have the darkest phase of a moon on Earth. So even though in space, moon and sun are aligned, here, from our perspective, the moon is at its darkest. So it's actually the sun that is highlighted here. And the sun is in 29 degrees. So it's just before it ends the sign of Aries and gets into Taurus. It actually will go into Taurus the same day that the new moon happens, which means that you'll have the most mature, the most refined energy of Aries during this new moon. That means that whatever new beginnings that you have, whatever assertion, whatever aggression, whatever project you want to begin, is going to have some kind of serious nature about it, like, shit, this really needs to work, and if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna be a fuck up. Because the 29th degree is a very difficult degree. It usually highlights some kind of challenge. The person is not quite sure how to make it happen. They know they have to make the Aries thing happen, but they're not sure how. And yet, a sense of urgency will be felt on this new moon. So maybe whatever you do now is going to have long-term consequences. It's going to have consequences that are going to impact you even 6 months from now on. So you will feel the effects of this new moon for weeks and months to come. And that's why it's very important that you understand what to do at this time. So the planets here give you an idea of the problems that you will face. You have Venus having a square with Saturn, because Venus is in Gemini. And the square with Saturn and Pisces is about refining and restructuring your relationships, asserting your boundaries, telling other people that, hey, this is what my values are. Venus are values. And here I'm gonna have to cut you off because this is no longer working for me. I don't like what you're doing. Our values are not aligned. So Saturn has a very serious component. It kind of forces the issue. You know, it forces you to assert your values. So, because Gemini is about communication and information, whatever other people are telling around you, whatever they're saying, you're going to look at it very critically. And if you don't like what they're saying, then you're gonna come into some kind of argument with them. And you have two choices. You either make your boundaries, or you suffer some kind of consequences, because you're allowing a negative element into your life And the square is what you see. You see the tension in your relationship. You see that whatever is happening, you just don't like it. You're not happy. You're not satisfied. And you will only be satisfied when you assert your position in a very adult, a very logical, very reasonable, very Saturn-like way. And only then can Venus be happy, which is what pleasure, well-being, having harmony in your relationships. And here you see also in this chart, because I have the fixed stars activated, you have Venus conjunction exactly with the Archangel Michael star Aldebaran. And Aldebaran is about the throat chakra and the bull's eye, because it's actually in the constellation of a bull, but from our perspective in the tropical chart, it is in the sign of Gemini, which is why we look at the communication from a bull's eye view, and we assert our views in a very fixed manner. You know, very stubborn, like, I know what my views are, and I know that you don't align, so... And the whole thing about Archangel Michael is that he's the commander of the heavenly host, meaning that he commands some kind of respect. He tells other people what needs to be done to go to war. So here is some kind of energy going on with your relationships where somebody will tell the other person what needs to be done, and the other person will be like, oh, I really like that, I will follow you. But then there will be people who say, oh no, I don't like what you're saying, and then there's going to have to be some kind of conflict. That's why it's always some kind of war-like situation. This is the politician star. So people who are influencers, who have a lot of followers, they're going to see that if they have contradicting views, they're going to lose a lot of followers now. Because people are very quick-tempered to assert their position, and they won't allow much disagreement at this time. So this is a very bad time to have disagreement in a situation where you don't want to cut the person off. In other words, where you don't want to be blocked. To say it nicely, as nice as I could, I mean, it's not a pleasant energy. It's very rigid. And you also have a Mercury conjunction Uranus here. So there will be communication about the group, humanitarian efforts. It's about the community, it's about what gets people together, it's what gets people to conform to a single idea, to some kind of ideal. And this ideal has to do with technology. Maybe using ChatGPT, using AI to make art, using some kind of communication device to spread the news about what you think the collective has to do at this time. And what the collective has to do, you may think is what you are doing. Because it's in Taurus, it's very self-centered. So we may think that whatever applies to us will apply to everyone around us. And we are just thinking about ourselves at this time. We are thinking about our finances, our survival, our foundation, our home, our comfort, anything that gets us to feel more secure going forward. So there will be a lot of nervous energy, a lot of tension, a lot of worrying about finances. Maybe you're not quite sure about where to spend your money on, or if whatever you are thinking about is worth your emotional investment. Maybe there's something you're missing. Maybe you have to look at the small print, at the details of your contract, your job, your business, something that you need to improve, because Uranus conjunction Mercury is about progress, change, rapid evolution, some kind of sudden shifts in your perspective, your perception, because Mercury is about your ability to process information, and this is going to be challenged at this time, and Taurus doesn't really like that. So there will be a lot of tension again for this sign, a lot of combative energy, which is of course very typical for Moon and Aries anyways. But this is how we go into the next month. This is how we start up the month of Taurus, which will be starting on the same day. April 20 is when we will go into Taurus season. And before we do that, this is what's going to give us a prediction for the entire month. So look at this chart that I have here as a prediction for the entire next month, okay? For the next 30 days, starting today, when you're watching this video, unless you are watching it after the new moon, which is kind of unlikely, but if you want a prediction, then you should look at this chart. What this chart is also telling you is that there's a lot of squares with Pluto. Yeah, you have a Sun square Pluto. That's quite rough, you know. Sun and Moon square Pluto. That means there's gonna have some kind of power struggle. You struggle to find your strength. You're not quite sure about yourself. You're not sure if you're doing the right thing. You're not sure if whatever you're doing is good enough, that it has influence to improve your situation. Maybe you'll be thinking about whether or not you should press the issue, push it. Maybe there's some kind of challenge you are facing and you need to force the issue. But once you force the issue, there will be obstacles in your way. People around you, they will not like your assertion. They will try to oppose you somehow. So that is why there's power struggles with this transit. There's some kind of issue in which people are just not agreeing with each other. They're not on the same page. And both the Sun and the Moon here are not in a very happy position. And you'll have to think about jumping too fast into the next situation. So if something's irritating you, something is not working for you, and you feel like you have to push onward, be careful that you think about it first before you make impulsive decisions, because the energy of Mars and Pluto together in a square can create a lot of rash impulsivity. Okay. Of course, you have also Mars in Cancer right now, because this Mars has been in Cancer for a while, but on this particular occasion, you have Mars very close to the star of Sirius. It's only, let me see, yes, it is in 13 degrees, holy moly. That is exactly the degree in which Sirius is in. It's in the same degree. Sirius is a dog star, which is about fame, influence, prestige. Mars is about saying, I'm going to take charge of my prestige, my power, my ability to make my own decisions. Is going to be very strongly highlighted here. So maybe you'll be struggling with some kind of authority figure, someone at work, your boss, people around you. Be careful at this time, because people will have the energy of wanting to fight each other when they see that somebody is threatening their position, whether it's in social media, on Facebook, threatening you, disrespecting you, making you look stupid, making you look like you're a fuck up, like you're not doing a good job, whatever. This is gonna rile up this Mars. And this Mars is very emotional in Cancer. It's very protective about your assets, your money, your physical possessions, your friends. Maybe there's some kind of fight about somebody at work, somebody on social media. One in your friend circle has an issue with somebody else, and you are asked to step in and to protect your friends, or to protect your home, protect your career, protect whatever. Something demands your protection. That is what Mars does. It demands, desires. And of course in Sirius, it's quite serious. Serious, that's where we derive the term Sir from. So that's why it has to do with authorities. Some kind of Sir, some kind of knight in shining armor, some kind of general, some kind of person who likes to look very critically at what you're doing, and now he's really going to challenge you. He's really going to annoy you. He's going to put you over the edge, and he's going to question your decision making. And that's also what Aries has to do with, right? Decision making, quick, rash decisions. And of course, when other people look at you, they think, oh, what, my God, what are you doing? Isn't this dangerous? Isn't this risky? Isn't this like a danger to society? Why are you doing this? Shouldn't you think this through? So people will oppose you, and they feel very emotional about that. But you have Mars, no hard aspects here, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. The good thing is that we have a Mars trine Saturn, so that means that you'll feel like whatever I do now, I'm going to think about my decision, because I know whatever I do now is going to have strong, long-lasting consequences, like I said at the beginning. Saturn is kind of highlighting that, with Venus, which is about finances, values, relationships. Whatever you do now, if you have a partner who is abusive, or if you have a friend, or you're not quite on the same page, it's going to be tested by Saturn. And the Aries energy will compel you to take some kind of action. You'll be forced to make a decision. And whether this decision is about your change of career, your change of place, change of home, Mars and Cancer, or change of ideas, change of perspective, change of how you deal with your values because of all this Taurus energy going on. Yes, I think values will be a strong theme, but even though the focus is there, I think it's more about how do I get what I need? How do I get enough money, get enough resources? How do I get the influence and other people that I need? Because I don't want to lose the grace of the public. That's why Venus is Aldebaran. Aldebaran is about getting quick, climbing up on the ladder, achieving something, and then as soon as you make a rash decision, it's crashing down. So there's this threat. You'll be feeling this tension, that you feel like, oh, you can really go fast now. You feel good about asserting yourself, sharing your views, and then suddenly you're sharing a little bit too much and you lose the grace of the public, and immediately you're in the dumpster, and people are devaluing you. Now suddenly you're no longer somebody who's worthy of attention, who's worthy of being considered. And here Aries is about survival. Our survival depends on our reputation, on how other people are looking at us, on our situation, on how much money we have in the bank. Because whatever happens next is going to be dependent on the choices we make right now. And that is why you feel this sense of urgency. There's always a sense of urgency with Aries. Aries is all about, oh, I need to do it now or I will not survive. That's why it's the first sign, because it deals with the most basic foundation of everything, survival. Yeah? Survival, your identity, your sense of this is who I am, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to be about, and if I can't express that, then I'm gonna feel all this tension. And there's this tension, especially with Pluto, like I said, there's a square with Pluto between the Sun and Moon, but there's also a square with Pallas. I think this is where we have problems coming up with the right strategy of how we want to go forward. Like, if I want to make some kind of plan for the future. Aries is not really good at planning, right? But Pallas is here about the decision making that allows us to win against our enemies, to outmaneuver. And here we are not quite sure how we're going to do that. How are we going to outmaneuver the situation? but we do feel like we need to take a stand. We need to tell other people what we are about. We need to know exactly what we want at this time. And if we don't go after that, right, if we don't take action, Mars energy, then it's going to really negatively affect us in the long run. And we feel that at this time. So you see, everything comes together in helping you to make up your mind, right? That's why Aries rules the head. Because you're going to be stuck in your head if you don't make a decision. You're going to keep thinking. You're going to keep ruminating. You're going to keep repeating the same things over and over again in your head because you're too afraid. You're paralyzed by fear. That's why Aries is about courage, right? You need courage to take action, to go into the lion's den, to go into the initiation. That's why Aries is an initiator. It's a cardinal sign. So it starts things up. It's like the fire under your ass. You are motivated now because there's a sense of urgency. Interesting. You have also the Sun and Moon opposition the South Node in Scorpio. You see, the South Node is quite lonely here. It's a very lonely position. And if you don't know what the South Node is about this is the past, these are things that we're leaving behind. And an opposition means that whatever we're leaving behind, what we have to leave behind, what skills we take from the past, I'm afraid we're gonna need them again before this is done. Whatever you learned in the last 6 months, you feel like you're gonna need for the next 6 months. But the skills that you have developed recently, they may not be good enough. You may not know how to implement it now, because whatever worked in the recent past is no longer working. So that's why it's an opposition. You have opposing forces. They're not working together. Why are they not working together? Well, the Sun is about our sense of self. And the nodes are about karmic issues. So maybe we had a very good sense of who we were recently. We kind of could figure out what it is that we needed to do. But now we feel kind of weak. We feel kind of like we don't really have a sense of direction. But we should have all the resources that we need to keep moving on. So what's going on here? Why don't we feel like we know what we need to do now? It's because we're not quite on the same page. We're not quite sure because there are opposing forces, people around us that are telling us differently, questioning our decision making. So this is also a time of self-doubt, self-reflection. Some people at this time, they feel like shutting down, like taking a time out, because there's too many false references from the environment influencing you right now. And in order for you to break out of that, you'll have to take a time out. You have to isolate yourself for a little bit. Maybe you need to talk to someone, talk to a counselor, a mentor, somebody who you trust, who has a good reality testing, who seems to have figured things out. This is a good time to go to a counselor. Like if you think Scorpio, South Node being about counseling, psychology, this is a good time to ask someone who has made that happen which you want to make happen. They already have been where you are now. These people are going to help you now. And that's basically it. You have also Sun, Moon conjunction the North Node, you know. It's in a far angle, but even within 5 degrees, you'll be noticing that, especially with the Moon. The Moon is having a solar eclipse. So what is an eclipse? A solar eclipse means the moon is highlighting the sun. And the eclipse is because the moon and the sun are both conjunction the north node, the true node. And the north node is about your soul's destiny. It's your life path. And your life path is going to be decided for the next 6 months based on the fact that it's conjunction the north node. Because the north node is very slow moving. It takes a year to be in a sign. And it's already been halfway through. So of course, you have 6 months left until the north node will have finished its task and can move on to the next sign. So whatever you do now, it's a strong influence on your destiny. The last time we had an eclipse was a lunar eclipse, where the moon was opposition the sun in Taurus. And that was last year. I think that was in December, September, Scorpio month. At that time I had a job interview and I got accepted, but I didn't get the job. It wasn't a job that I felt it was right for me. It was not authentic for me to pursue that job, so I quit. I think this is going to be a very similar situation. You're going to be asked to do something that is not authentic, inauthentic. You're going to be offered money. You're going to be offered rewards. You're going to be offered public recognition. You're going to be offered approval of your peers, your friends. Everybody is going to love you. If you just make this sacrifice now and you drop whatever authenticity you want to express, you're going to be rewarded for that in the short term. And that's going to bait you. It's going to haunt you. It's going to torture you. It's going to trap you, because it's a trap. I mean, obviously, this is a new moon in Aries. So if you can't do whatever is authentic now, you're going to feel the consequences of that for months to come. And you can't settle for any immediate rewards. And that's why it has this tension going on, you see? That's why it's a square with Venus. Because Venus is about other people around us. And they're not going to like whatever decision you're going to make now. And you asked, are you going to make it, yes or no? You know, you have to make up your mind. So, once you've done that, you see there's also Sun and Moon conjunction Jupiter. So not only do you have all these themes, you have these conflicts with other people, but you feel like a sense of enthusiasm and expansion and exploration. You're kind of curious. What is going to happen if I light the fuse? You know, you're gonna feel that, the sense of adventure. Like you want to go in. Like now is the time for tunnel vision, for rash decision making, impulsivity. And of course, you're afraid of that, which you should be, because you don't want to go over the top. Because Jupiter is also known for accidents. It's like when you fall on your face, Aries, falling is a Jupiter thing, because people who have a Sun or Moon conjunction Jupiter in transit like this, we'll all be feeling this pull like, I just want to be authentic, just get it over with. But how do we express our authenticity? You know, you have to think about the how, which is a Saturn domain, which is opposite to Jupiter. Jupiter is not about, oh, how do I do this? Jupiter is just fucking do this. It's Knight of Wands, you know? And I would watch out for that. Because you're going to feel very emotional, of course. It's a new moon. The moon is about the physical body. It's instinct. It's pulling us into something that's not always rational. It's coming from our body, from our instinct, but even though there's psychic intuition connected to it, It can sometimes be a little bit off, because sometimes it's not instinct and intuition that guides us, sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's the past conditioning, right? That's why the nodes, which are part of the moon, connect us to our past and our future. So here we are led by our conditioning to take a little bit too much of a risk. Yeah. So don't take too much of a risk, please, at this time. It's not a good idea. Of course, you're going to be asked to be authentic, but don't rush it. Yeah. At least try to plan for it. Maybe talk to someone. Like if you need to make a decision, talk to someone, get some feedback, and yeah. This is a good time to have some kind of reading with someone. You need some kind of guidance, some kind of higher guidance, some kind of spiritual guidance. Jupiter is also about mind expansion, a higher perspective. Because without the higher perspective, you're definitely gonna fall on your face. Because you may not know what you are doing, you know, even if you have your heart at the right place. So, what else do we have? I always have to look at this chatterbox at the bottom here. Okay. There's a sextile between the Sun and Saturn. So this is very good, I think. When we have a sextile, as we move on into the month of finances, Taurus, we have a sextile with Saturn. So this is going to be favorable for finances next month. That means you're going to have an increase in your money, in your sense of stability, maybe a situation in which you weren't sure of how it was going to play out. We're going to feel much more secure with the days moving forward after this moon. You're going to have some kind of assistance here, because Saturn grounds you. It creates the boundaries necessary to make sure that you feel stable moving forward. So that is why it's an increase in finances, but it's also an increase in your ability to commit to a certain task. It gives focus for the days to come. So this is a good time to structure your routine, your business. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're independent, this is a good month. Yeah. If you're working for somebody else, it means it's a good month to suck up to the boss, to show the boss, hey, do you know what I'm doing here, what my values are? This is a good month to show him what you're made of, so you can get a promotion. This is also good for all kinds of business transactions that have to do with making some kind of new advertisements, if you're trying to sell something online. But it's good in terms of logic, being rational, basically. Also, Mercury will enter retrograde right after this. So this whole next month, with Mercury in retrograde, as you know, it kind of makes us want to say something a little bit too quickly. And when we think about something, or we say something that we didn't really mean to say. We purchase something that we didn't mean to purchase. So watch out for what kind of purchases you're going to make, what kind of contracts you're going to sign, because at this time you're going to feel extra impulsive, and you don't want to like, for example, let's say you go to some kind of contract, and the other person tells you, hey, these are the conditions of a contract, okay? And you're listening to the conditions, and it sounds pretty good. And then you say, okay, let's go for it. With this Mercury going into retrograde, you're gonna be in situations where you should not go for it. You should actually ask, hey, make sure that what you're listening to is correct, because you may not get the right information. It may look like you do, but you don't. And this is why you need to be more inquisitive at this time. This is a time to be investigative. This is a time to, if you're thinking about buying something, make sure that that you really know what you're signing up for. Yeah. Okay. Overall, you have most of the planets in Taurus, mostly Earth elements, so we all know it's Pentacles and Power. And Pentacles are about money. Pentacles are about our attachments, things that we're holding on to, things that we like to keep, things that we want to protect. Especially with Mars, ruler of Aries, going into Cancer, where it is now. It's very much like this card, Four of Pentacles, yeah. And I think this is a good time to make a little tarot reading. Before I finish this video, I'll pull some cards on this new moon. So let's see. So what cards can we see for this new moon in Aries, April 20, 2023? Okay, so I got Three of Cups. See? So in the Three of Cups, you have a bunch of people, they're holding cups together in celebration because they have some kind of networking. They're working together towards a goal. It's collaboration. So this is a good time to collaborate with someone. Maybe you rely on somebody for resources. Maybe you need to have a contract with someone in order to attain your goals. This is a good time to get those goals met through somebody else's help. Let's see what else we get. Ah, nice. Death card. I like this card. As you can see, with the Death card, you have some kind of transformation going on. There's something that you need to let go of, something that's been holding you back, something that you know you need to get rid of. You know you can't go there. You've tried it, you've been pushed into it, you've conformed, it's not working for you. Stop. Make a change now, because if you don't, it's really going to be uncomfortable for you and you're going to be forced. So this, I think, is very representative of a Sun square Pluto that we see in this chart. Eight of Cups. Walking away. So you see there's certain things that you need to let go of, that you need to detach from. You want to move away from them. These maybe be your physical possessions, your values, your attachments, your emotions that you're investing into a certain situation, a certain career, a certain partner, an abusive contract, something that is making you unhappy. And now finally you have the courage to walk away. And the moon behind you on the picture shows, as it's kissing the sun, just what this solar eclipse is about. Right. So intuition finally being accessed, to be put into action by the sun. So intuition and action are working together now. And that is why you're walking away from whatever you feel that you need to walk away from. So it's very good. I like that the cards are perfectly aligned with this new moon. Excellent. Oh, that's funny. I got the Three of Cups again. Okay, so I got it again. I guess it just means you really need to work with someone. Maybe make a video with someone, a podcast that you're thinking about. Some kind of work assignment. Maybe you need their help. Maybe you're asking someone for advice. I don't know. Somebody's definitely going to help you out. And it's going to be good for you. the Emperor in reverse. Now we have, of course, the Aries card, right? Everybody knows the Emperor. With a ram you see on the throne, and his scepter in his left hand, crown in his head, and a red cardinal gown to show his authority as the Emperor, to show his assertiveness, his ability to make decisions very rationally, but also very impulsively, very quickly. But I picked it in reverse. So this is about impulsivity, it's a warning. Maybe there's a tendency to dominate whatever your next interaction is going to be. Maybe you're thinking, maybe I just need to go really, really hard. And I just need to be extra masculine here. Be careful not to go over the top. This is also about power struggles in some kind of way, where other people feel threatened by you. And actually, this threat is not really working out for you. You may initially get what you want, but there's going to be negative consequences for your rash actions. So be careful. Okay, let me do one last card. The Hanged Man. So this is about meditation, contemplation. The Hanged Man, this is kind of like this, you know, isn't it? Yeah, it's actually like this. So the Hanged Man, as you can see, he's channeling his sexual energy into his head, right? When you're channeling Mars into Aries area, the head, the fire is channeled. The fire leads to enlightenment because he's cultivating his sexual energy inwards. Instead of using it outwards to assert himself, assert his will onto the world, he's channeling the fire inwards. But to channel the fire inwards, you have to channel it. You can't just suppress it, you can't just contain it and just do nothing with it. No, the Hanged Man is about purpose, about self-realization, knowing who you are and what you are about, seeing yourself clearly. Yeah, as the third eye is opening here, okay? Because that's what the shine, the Jesus, we call it Heiligenschein in Germany. It's the halo. The halo is the enlightenment that you have when you know who you are. And you know what you have to do, what needs to be done to move forward. Because it's about you, your values, your commitments, your goals, your achievements. Your authentic expression needs to be channeled into action. And before you can do that, you need to see yourself clearly. Meditate and reflect on what is the archetype that primarily wants to express itself through you from the background. And tap into it, bring it out. And you're gonna have a good time on this new moon, I hope. It's not the worst new moon, but it's a very intense new moon. It's gonna be very strong energies, so you have to make a decision. And I suppose the choice is between love and fear, authenticity and following what other people are about, but also finding some kind of balance in the middle, because you're going to be pulled between those two, because there's cons and there's pros for each side, and there's going to be negative consequences. Whatever timeline you're going to follow for the next 6 months, fear or love, there's going to be advantages on both sides. And you have to understand what you're signing up for. Otherwise, you're like a headless chicken, right? And you're going to hurt yourself. Okay, so knowing that, I hope you can make up your mind and you can see things clearly. Like I said, if you don't know what to do now, if you don't know what to commit to, You just have to go within, talk to someone. When you talk with other people, when you talk about what's on your mind, on your heart, it helps to, like Carl Jung would say, when the subconscious is expressed outwards, then it can be healed, you know. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video on the new moon in Aries. And if you did, leave a like and a comment. And thanks for watching.